Welcome to Stevie's Kitchen. Today I'll be making brown butter sourdough banana blondies. You don't want to miss this. So we're gonna get started with these blondies. I've already browned my butter. So I got 20 tablespoons of brown butter right here that I'm about to put into a bowl. Get all those brown butter bits off the bottom. That's where you get all that extra flavor. So now that we got the brown butter in the bowl, I have 2 1/4 cups of brown sugar that's gonna go in. And then we're just gonna mix this together and get it all nice and frothy. So now that we got this all mixed together, we're gonna take a tablespoon of vanilla, pour it in. Then I have 2 eggs that I've already cracked. Incorporate those in. And then we're just gonna get another mix on this. So when it comes to baking, I was always afraid of it because it was such a science. And you know, with cooking, you can just add a little bit of seasonings here and there kind of to taste. But whenever it comes to baking, you have to be a little bit more precise. So I was always afraid to, but once I started doing it, I realized that I actually love it. And the only thing you really have to be precise with is kind of the eggs and the flour. If you want to add a little cinnamon, if you want to add a little nutmeg, if you want to add a little things like that, just kind of give your batter a little bit of flavor. You don't have to be as precise that I've learned. So it makes me feel a little bit better when it comes to baking. So now we have all this incorporated, we're going to add our sourdough, and then we'll put in our dry ingredients. So now we're going in with our sourdough. Can't seem to find my half cup, so 2/4 cups will do. But we're gonna have a half cup of sourdough that's just going in for the recipe. I feel like if anybody had to ask me if it's harder to get sourdough out of a bowl or out of a jar or cover an NFL receiver, you know, they might be on the same plane. Sourdough is so damn sticky. And you just got to keep working and working. And of course, receivers are pretty good, so, you know. Pick your poison. Alrighty here. We got our half cup in now. So now we're just gonna get a little mix, get the sourdough incorporated. And then the last wet ingredient that we're gonna have, I have 2 ripe bananas that I will mash up with a fork, and then we'll mix that in as well. So now we got this nice and mixed. And when it comes to your bananas, the browner, the more spotted, the better. It means the more ripe, a little sweeter, more of that banana flavor that's gonna be in them. So you want 2 bananas in to go in here. 1, 2. Just getting a little mash on them. Nothing scientific about this. Take our mixture, get our mashed bananas, and in we go. Last mix with our wet ingredients, and then we'll get started on the dry. Try to get this as smooth as possible. Get a slight clean on my workstation, and then we'll be back to incorporate the dry ingredients. Now it's time for the dry ingredients. I have 3 cups of all-purpose flour. I'm just gonna mix in about half of it at first, just so the flour doesn't go all over the place. It's not gonna be a fully incorporated type of thing. We're just trying to get a little bit of it mixed in. We'll add in the rest. So when I think about eating all these lovely desserts, and I'm pretty sure many of you ask, how do I still look the way I look? It's because I started working out a long time ago. Been an athlete my whole life, and I think back to some of my days at Michigan, and I feel like even though that was about 20 years ago, it still justifies that I can do this because I remember one time we had to go run the golf course. We would run the golf course every Friday during the off season, about almost 2 miles. And then whenever you come back in, we had 3 fields of just practice fields. And one time we come back in and we had these little boards that are probably like this big, and we had to put them on the ground. We had to run them across all 3 fields, and then we had to run. They had every single field lined with bags. We had to do lateral shuffles over. So every single time I think about that workout, I'm like, it happened 20 years ago, but I deserve this Blondie today. Now that we have our flour incorporated, we need 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder that we're going to put in. And then while doing that, before I get a full mix on it, add a cup of walnuts. So now I'm going to throw in a cup of walnuts, and then a cup of white chocolate chips. And actually, instead of using the mixer, just because I don't want all this stuff going all over the place, I'm gonna get my handy spatula out and just incorporate all this together. So now I got a 9x13 pan. I have parchment paper at the bottom, and we're just gonna put our mixture in. And then after our mixture gets all the way in, it's going into the oven for 40 minutes at 350. This is gonna cut this into 18 pieces for me, and it's gonna bake like this. I like this because it actually gives a lot of these blondies a little bit of an edge to them. And when I say edge, I mean kind of a crisp, because you're gonna have that soft, moist blondie, brownie type of flavor in the middle. And then with these little extra ridges, each piece will get that little sear of an edge, so it just adds that nice little texture to it. So now that we got our blondies out of the oven and we let them cool slightly, now, like I said, this thing allows me to cut this into 8 different pieces, or 18 different pieces. You just want to kind of see if it can wiggle out. Ooh, get a little, and and we are good. So now we're just gonna lift them out completely. Then I have a little bit of caramel sauce, just like as you think, sugar, a little bit of butter, heavy cream, sprinkle of salt. That's all this is. We're just gonna get it, I just wanna get a little slight drizzle on this. Don't want too much because I don't want to be too sweet. For the sake of science, let's get this taste test going for you. Banana walnut blondie, a little bit of caramel on top. So, if banana bread and a brownie had a baby, that's what this is. You get the little bit of softness like the banana bread, but it has still the chew and gooiness of the brownie. You get that banana flavor all the way through. This might not make it through the night. Just gonna go ahead and put that out there. try this.